The Northern Pacific was once again mired in bankruptcy, and Hill saw an opportunity.
Hill had had his eye on the Northern Pacific for a number of years. And one of the things that drove him nuts about the Northern Pacific was that it had no discipline in building track. It would build a spur line to a mine without knowing if the mine could be productive. And Hill owned stock in the Northern Pacific, and it annoyed the heck out of him.
In 1895, Hill aligned himself with America's leading investment banker, John Pierpont Morgan.
J.P. Morgan was simply the most powerful, influential investment banker in the world. He was the Federal Reserve before there was a Federal Reserve.
The New York-based House of Morgan dominated the world of corporate finance and had arranged the mergers that created General Electric and later U.S. Steel. But Morgan's specialty was the consolidation of the railroad industry.
This whole notion of competition in our economic life is something that in the early 21st century we think is a good thing. In 1900, not all leading business figures felt that way. Certainly Morgan didn't, and I suspect Hill didn't either. They would consider competition wasteful, barbaric, unnecessary. In the case of railroads, building two sets of tracks by two railroads to the same place. It's redundant. You don't need to do it.
As a major investor in the Northern Pacific, J.P. Morgan called for a meeting with Hill.
Well, Hill and J.P. Morgan became, if not fast friends, because I don't think they were, they certainly became fast business partners.
Hill and Morgan's goal in the mid-1890s was essentially to take it over.
From Hill's point of view, this was really hunky-dory, of course, because the NP was a parallel competing line.
Many states had laws, statutes, that prohibited the merger of parallel and competing lines. And the Supreme Court sole ruled against Morgan and Hill in 1895. So what's the way around that? The way around that is to buy enough shares of the Northern Pacific to influence decisions.
Together, they will start buying up the bankrupt Northern Pacific shares. They will get de facto control of the NP by the mid-1890s.